The Norwegian Singles Approach has been blowing up over the last few months, and I've been observing the discussion around it for the last couple of years. After running an ultramarathon at the end of the summer, it was time for me to get stuck into a winter road training block, and I thought, what better time to have a go at this increasingly popular training protocol that so many people seem to be having so much success with.
So I fit the bill for this training method pretty neatly. I'm used to running every day. I'm used to running 80 to 100 kilometers a week. So I've got the base there to back up the sub-threshold volume that the method requires. And I'm sort of in a position in the minute where I want to add in more consistent quality work. But I am unfortunately a normal person and I have a life, a day-to-day life I need to execute effectively. And when I've done the hard VO2 max workouts in the past, it's just not gone super well for me. I've been too tired and I found it a lot harder to get on with the rest of my day. So doing more volume at a lower intensity suits me for the minute, and then maybe in the future when I've adjusted to the overall volume and intensity a bit more, I can start to ramp things up a little bit.
So the method seems pretty ideal for me. 3 workouts, the same 3 workouts every week, all at sub-threshold, and the rest is easy pace. Overall, not an easy training method, but for someone who's used to running every day, adding in that amount of sub-threshold work should be pretty manageable.
And the workouts being exactly the same every week works really nicely for me because I don't have to think about it. I don't really have to plan anything. I just have to turn up to the place I do my intervals on the right days and press the interval that has been programmed into my watch. I don't need to change it much on a week-to-week basis. Periodically I'll need to change the paces. I might need to add a rep, but generally don't really have to think about it, so it frees up my brain to focus more on things that matter a bit more than trying to run an arbitrary distance in an arbitrary time.
At the moment, my week looks like this. Monday, interval session, 3 by 10 minutes at roughly my 30k pace, which at the moment is apparently between 5:09 and 5:19 a kilometre, 12k total. Tuesday is 5km easy commute, an upper body strength session and another 5k easy commute. Wednesday is the second interval session, 4 by 6 minutes at roughly my half marathon pace, currently 5:03 to 5:13 a kilometre, about 11k of volume. Later I do a 5k easy commute, a lower body strength session and another 5k easy commute home. Thursday I do a hangboard session and either 2 5k easy commutes or 2 5k easy runs if I don't need to be at work. Friday is the third interval session, 8 by 3 minutes at around 15k pace, currently between 4:56 and 5:06 a kilometre, about 10k of volume. I also climb on Fridays. Saturday is a parkrun sandwich in the morning, easy effort and a sort of medium long run for about 15k of volume. Later I do my second lower body strength session. Sunday is a long run day. I'm doing more volume in the long run than the Norwegian Singles Approach prescribes, but I'm used to running a long way, so I'm keeping these runs longer, currently up to 23k in the long run. I also usually climb again on Sundays.
So obviously my training schedule isn't structured necessarily in the way that the Norwegian Singles Approach suggests. I am doing quite a bit of double running and some days triple running, and that's basically just to organise the training around my life in a way that enables me to do everything I need or want to do. So far, things seem to be going pretty smoothly, aside from one hiccup at the end of week 4.
Okay, so one of the recommendations with the Norwegian Singles Approach is that you run some sort of race stimulus every 4-ish weeks. And ideally, you do this in place of one of the workouts. At the end of week 4, I did a race effort parkrun. Stupidly, I planned my food really badly on this particular day. The first 4k felt hard, but not any harder than you'd normally expect to feel from a 5k-ish race effort. As I started to go up the second hill on this particular course, I felt bad. I figured I was just tiring and I'd dig in, dig deep and push on at the top of the hill. I did that, and then 250 meters from the finish, I doubled over and spewed my breakfast all over the path. No warning, no nausea, just feeling kind of rough one moment and then vomiting the next. This was entirely my own fault. I ate something different to what I normally eat before this sort of race effort. I ate it too soon before the effort. I drank too much fluid in the 3 hours before the effort. A bunch of really stupid mistakes, and I should know better, because this used to happen a lot when I was a teenager. I would frequently spew up at the finish line of cross country or the local 5k charity race. It would happen every single year. Now, it hasn't happened for a while because I have figured this stuff out, and obviously I got complacent. Thought maybe I was past that. I guess not. Unfortunately, this means I do not have any hard and fast data to provide you, dear viewer, to give you an objective, stats-based insight into whether this method is actually making me run faster.
We can take a look at how things are feeling. Overall, things are feeling better and better. The running itself feels smooth. I feel quite relaxed when I'm running. I seem to be settling into the workouts for the most part. The Monday workouts especially are feeling pretty smooth and relaxed. Struggling mentally a bit with the Friday workouts, and I think that's just because with the really short reps you do have to concentrate a lot harder to keep the pace in range because you've got less time to settle into it, and I'm finding that quite hard work. I feel like with the Monday and the Wednesday workouts I don't have to just like constantly concentrate every second of the workout, and I feel like I have to do that for the shorter reps. So by about rep 6 I find myself feeling pretty mentally fatigued and just like having a really hard time keeping the pace in the right range. My easy pace seems to be creeping faster. When I'm doing my easy runs, I'm sort of increasingly finding that my legs feel like they're trying to run away from me a bit, and I have to put more conscious effort into slowing down and not going too quickly. And I think because the action of running mechanically feels so nice and smooth now, and I typically feel pretty relaxed, it's quite easy to let the pace slip quicker because I feel so chilled out and the running is feeling like so automatic.
We can also look at how the first 4k of the effort went. The parkrun course I was using is definitely not a PB course. It's got a long downhill and a long uphill in it, so it theoretically balances out, but not really. However, at 4k I was still on track to dip under the time I'd set myself at a flat 5k time trial a few weeks earlier. Now, obviously we don't know for sure that I would have gone under the time I set myself previously. I may well have lost it all on the hill, but because I spent about 10 seconds throwing up and then just sort of stumbled along to the finish, we just can't really say for sure. All we can really do at the minute is speculate, and I want to come around to the other key element of this training method, which is patience. This training method just isn't designed for quick wins. It's designed to be stacked on week on week on week on week over months and months. Ideally, you're building the base of the pyramid in a similar way to double threshold, but accounting for a more reduced time availability.
When I started following this training method, I was not expecting to magically get loads faster within a short time frame. There are people who have been following this method who have seen a rapid rate of progress, but equally there are people who have seen their progress drop off a little bit before then picking up and finding themselves getting quite a bit faster. So I elected to make the assumption that the latter of those two cases would be the most likely, and things have gone roughly as expected. The first 4 weeks I definitely felt like I was carrying more fatigue in my legs, and that's just because I'd added in 90 minutes of sub-threshold work every week and I was upping my mileage. But it feels like now in week 5 I am adjusting to that process and my legs are starting to feel a bit fresher on a day-to-day basis. Training certainly isn't feeling easy, but it is feeling consistently repeatable. So I'm going to keep doing it because so far my steadiest running improvements have occurred during periods of time where I'm simply training consistently. And if we're being really honest, I'm not that fast yet. So actually just running more mileage with a decent volume of sub-threshold is going to be really good for me in the long run. I can use the Norwegian Singles Approach to build a really good base, and then when I feel like I need to sharpen up for certain races, then I can put in like a block of VO2 max work or something along those lines.
There are a few other things to consider. I'm currently not optimizing this method fully. I ideally would be doing about 25% of my overall time on feet as sub-threshold, and currently that's only at about 11%. Now this is partially because I am new to the method, so I've picked the kind of lower boundary of each of the rep range options to allow myself to ease into it a bit and get used to it, so that I don't end up injuring myself by doing too much sub-threshold volume right off the bat. I want to let myself adjust, build it up over time, and make sure my body is ready for each increase in interval volume. And I'll keep doing that until I reach that kind of roughly 20% of time on feet being at sub-threshold. Despite the fact that I am accustomed to running every day and running quite a lot, I still don't want to jump in to a training method that I haven't tried before and go basically max out all the way. Particularly because when I started using this method, I was really still rebuilding post-ultramarathon. My first real test of the winter training block is going to come at the end of November when I run Doncaster 10K. My 10K PB is currently pretty soft. I have a 48.28 from Doncaster last year, and back in April I ran a 48.29 at Lincoln. Now that race was about a month after running an ultramarathon. I had basically a month of low mileage in my legs and no speed work at all. And to basically match my PB off that, I think it's pretty obvious that I can do a lot better. In 3 weeks' time, I'm going to be looking to take 2 minutes off my PB and get myself that little bit closer to the longer term goal of going sub 45. Now, 2 minutes does seem like quite a lot to take off in one go. I know I can definitely PB, so I don't want it to be a safe PB effort. I could just shave a little bit off, definitely secure a PB, job done. But yeah, I don't really want to do that. I want to go in there, run as hard as I can, and make sure that there is very little left out on the course. I want to try and make sure that I get everything I have available out of myself on the day. I have 3 more weeks of training. I plan to do a small taper into the race, and then once the 10K is done, it'll be basically back into normal training because I will be continuing to build on to the main goal of the winter training block. But more on that after we've got this first one out of the way.
Alright then, keep your secrets.
If you would like to follow along as I navigate improving my running as a statistically above average, but not especially talented hobby jogger, then subscribe to the channel and drop a like on the video. If you have also been using the Norwegian Singles Approach, I would love to hear from you down in the comments. This is the first video on this channel. There is a slight possibility you may have come across me on my other channel. I'm moving all running content over to this one because the other channel has too much different stuff going on it, and YouTube really doesn't know who to push it to, so we're moving all the running stuff over here in the hope that it gives it a little bit of space to breathe and maybe reach the right audience. Next week we're going to take an in-depth dive into my current training routine and look a bit more specifically at how it fits in around the rest of my life. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.